Today it is time for a best-of-5 series of top-level StarCraft 2, and what I've got for you is a Zerg versus Terran, where in game number 1 we find ourselves on the map 2000 Atmospheres. And yes, this is indeed one of the new maps that recently got added with the new ladder season in StarCraft 2, and this particular series actually just so happens to be the grand finals of the ESL Open Cup Europe number 66. Now, what's cool about this, though, is that this could have easily been the grand finals of, like, the World Championships. Both of these players are world-class players. They're ridiculously good. And, I mean, if you've been watching StarCraft for a little while, you'll probably be familiar with them. But spotting here in the bottom left-hand corner of the map. Playing with the blue Zerg drones from Italy, we have the world champion of StarCraft 2, and his name is Reynor. His opponent in the opposite corner with the red Terran pieces, apparently joined right there by the little bear on the main command center from France. We're looking at Clem's main base. So apparently Clem is in Clen Mlem. And it's a bit of a tongue twister. Clen Mlem Liquid Clem. Clen Mlem Liquid Clem. Clen Mlem Liquid Clem. Oh, I nailed it, dude. Bit of a tongue twister, though, to apparently start today's cast. Anyways, yeah, I mean, I've casted this particular matchup, so Clem versus Reynor, probably a dozen times at this point, because they keep facing off against each other. I mean, they've been around for about as long, they're the same age, and they're both absolutely ridiculously good. So on Aligulek, which is a statistics website for StarCraft 2, it basically keeps track of all of the tournaments that are being played in the game, and then it ranks the players according to how well they've done against each other. But on Aligulek, Clem is currently considered to be the number 3 in the world, and Reynor currently the number 2. Now, I know that some of you may be wondering, Loko, who's number 1? That would be, of course, my boy, Cerro. Anyways, there's no denying, though, that both of these guys are really good. I mean, you gotta always take those statistics websites with a grain of salt, but there's no denying that it's pretty accurate, right? But there's some players that Aligulek doesn't rank as highly as they probably deserve. Like, for example, TY comes to mind and Rogue, and I think both of them are probably still in the top 10, but they can, you know, on a good day, easily be the best players in the entire game, you know? Like, it's, yeah, you always gotta take that with a grain of salt. Also, someone like SOS, you know, previous world champion of StarCraft 2 twice, actually. Never really ranks very highly on Aligulek, but every once in a while it seems like everything just clicks in his head, and then, you know, it's showtime. Anyways, so we have a little bit of Reaper harassment over here. I think we have some time to look around the map, right? Yeah, there shouldn't really be a whole lot done. Ooh, he gets a Zergling. It's about the best you're gonna get against, Are you gonna get 2? Eh, probably not. Nah. Alright, so let's go ahead and have a look. So, this map is called 2000 Atmospheres. It's underwater, which is also the reason why you can see a bunch of fish going around, and there's like a couple of sharks swimming around, and I believe when units die, they'll actually try and float to the surface sometimes as well, rather than, like, you know, lie on the ground. Anyways, as far as the map layout goes, it's pretty standard. So we have a lot of easy to acquire bases. So if you, yeah, just look horizontally right here. Obviously, the map is mirrored, by the way, so the same is on the other side as well, or the same is on the other side of the map as well. But it's all things considered. I mean, I've played a dozen games on this map or so at this point. It's very standard. Like, if you've watched any previous games of StarCraft on like a classic map, this is definitely one of them. Nothing out of the ordinary, nothing too crazy, which immediately makes me think that this should be a pretty good map for Reynor. In general, especially in this matchup, he loves playing that super macro-focused style. And, I mean, he's very good at multitasking. One thing I have found, as a Zerg player, especially on this map, there's a lot of different paths for creep spread. So you need like half a dozen creep tumors going around the map at least. And I think that the macro Zergs, like for example Reynor and Clem, they should be quite good at keeping on top of that. Anyways, the build order right here gets scouted by Reynor. He will figure out that it's a very quick third command center right now from Clem. It is going to be a Raven as a follow-up. Okay, I kind of like it. I was going to say, why is he not producing out of that starport there for a little bit? This is quite uncommon, but I like it. Yeah, especially on a map where you need a lot of creep spread. I think it makes sense to try and get that Raven out early. Reynor is not going for anything hyper-aggressive either, so it's not like you necessarily need that Banshee here if you are the Terran player. So I kind of like it. Let's see how it goes. Ooh, don't lose the Hellions. All right. So far, so good. Yeah, so the Raven, it's one of the units that we see quite a bit in the Terran versus Terran matchup, and we see it in Terran versus Protoss as well. In Terran versus Zerg, however, I think its main use case is the fact that you can use the anti-armor missile, right, which is fantastic. It also obviously can disable units, but are you really going to use that against a Zerg player? Not very likely. But most importantly, I think it is a detector. So, you know, I see this question all the time. Especially in the late game, whenever Terrans go around the map scanning all over the place. Right? They will scan a million times over. I always see people asking, Lowko, why don't they just get a Raven? And the answer is, well, I don't really know, dude. Like, I'm hard-pressed to find a reason why you wouldn't find a Raven a good idea in the late game. Like, they're very helpful units. And the armor missile alone, right? It basically makes units that you're fighting against temporarily take more damage. It almost sounds like a no-brainer on paper anyway. Yeah. A little auto turret over there deals a lot of damage too. Okay, I like this. Look at that. Oh, here comes Brenda. It's a little bit morbid. I'm sorry, guys. Anyways, Brenda was floating to the surface, which is kind of neat. We had a map once upon a time called Abyssal Reef. Oh, did he just... That must have been on purpose. I think he just killed one of his own creep tumors. We had a map called Abyssal Reef that had a very similar approach. By the way, we are up to a lot of Hellions right now. Yeah, this is starting to really do a lot of damage. Clem is just making a whole lot of those. He's like, you know what? Normally I make like 6 or 8. This time around, I'll make 12. And I'll go ahead and get that Raven repaired every once in a while and maybe get some work done with it. And you know what? I don't mind it at all. Yeah. With this amount of Hellions, look at that. Especially with the auto turrets. Yeah, you can kill queens. One thing that Reynor has been incorporating in this matchup recently, and I think this may actually be the reason why we see Clem doing this. Reynor's been going about 9 queens. So, he explained this during Stay at Home Story Cup. Gotta be careful here. Ah, he was thinking about it, okay. Yeah, I can't blame him for not doing it. He was talking about this during Stay at Home Story Cup. So, basically what he does right now is he has 3 groups of 3 queens. So, in macro games, I'm not too surprised if he would have like 1 queen per base, obviously, and that's 1 hotkey group. And then he has like 1 hotkey group of queens on the right, and then another hotkey group of queens on the left. And theoretically, apparently, it's the best way to get the creep spread going. It's just very hard to actually pull off. But I think that maybe adding the Raven into the mix actually may just make it much harder for those queens to stay alive, right? Because you don't get a Roach Warren, you don't get a Bailing Nest as quickly. You just kind of rely on the strength of those queens. I mean, you can still get the Bailing Nest or the Roach Warren at the same time, but... Anyway. Yeah, this is already a Clem game to a T, though, right? He has basically been in a driver's seat of those Hellions, quite literally, but also of this game from the very beginning. And it does look like he's ready to continue pushing as well, this time around with Hellbats, Marines, couple of Widow Mines, the Reaper from earlier as well, which can actually be quite a nuisance. There's also a bit of a fight happening on the left side, but it looks like that one will be deflected. Banelings do get targeted over here, though. Queens still have a lot of energy. Widow Mine, can it get any damage done? I mean, it's targeting the queens. Okay, nicely done. Gets one of the queens as well. I think eventually this will all be pushed back quite nicely, though. Was this really worth it? Because, like, one of the problems you can run into right now if you're a Terran player is that Zerg can just keep droning here, right? Apparently, Reynor is not really adding on too many workers. He's gonna go for more units here for the time being. Maybe a little bit concerned for like the follow-up push as well, which apparently is indeed heading in this direction. But if I was a Terran here, I would be a little bit concerned that all of a sudden I blink twice and Zerg is sitting at like 90 workers and you just can't stop it. Anyways, 4th Command Center is pretty late, so he needs to deal some damage. I don't think he's really done quite enough yet. Now this actually could be quite good. There's only a little bit of a Baneling supply. Oh, okay. That was very close. There was only a little bit of a Bailing supply. And actually, you know what? Yeah. Now those Bailings being sniped practically for free. This is going to be very difficult to clean up. Apparently, there were a couple of, I think, Marines inside of the main base there as well. That was deflected. But look at that control. Yeah. Standing his ground. I mean, he took one Bailing, obviously, as I said that to the face. There you go. But he is able to stand his ground for a long time. And now the creep spread actually is looking disastrous. I don't think, actually, this is a bad idea. Like, maybe it's time to give up this base, right? If the Terran decides to push again, or when the Terran decides to push again, and then expand towards the left, send those workers in that direction instead, because it's going to be very difficult to cover this map in that Zerg goo. Already, though, yeah, we once again have a couple of medevacs unloading. Ooh, big Widow Mine detonation. And Clem is looking dangerous, man. Like, this hasn't even been a close game. This is, yeah, a small mistake by the Zerg player earlier on, right? Losing a couple of things here and there. A couple of queens end up going down. You never really get into that comfort zone. And Clem is like, great, you know what? I'm just going to keep going. And we'll see where this game ends. So 2-2 is going to finish up pretty quickly. Zerk also does have 2-2 right around the same time, so that should not be the end of things. Lurker Den, though, has been acquired. And whenever Terran is playing a tempo game like this... There's that anti-armor missile, by the way. But whenever Terran's playing a tempo game like this, it can be halted by Lurkers quite well. The only problem is that you do need a little bit of breathing room to actually be able to transition towards those Lurkers as well. And it looks like Clem is not gonna let his foot off the gas. Considering the dominant performance that I casted a couple of days ago, with Reynor going up against Gong Fu, it seems like Clem is in a whole nother league, right? Like, this is... like, this all looks fine for the Zerg player, but there's a lot more Terran on the back of this. Swarm hosts? 7 swarm hosts? I think that's a misclick. I think that's... Wait, no, it's not a misclick. He's making more. Hold up. Hold up. 10 swarm hosts? I thought it was supposed to be Hydras to, like, transition into Lurkers. Swarm hosts? Don't Marines just kill the Locust? Alright, well, the swarm host gets spotted here. Oh god. Widow Mine's over here, though. Getting a lot of work done. Huh? Okay, yeah. I think Reynor was like, well, I guess if I, you know, have to do something here, maybe this will work? Nah. Okay, so phenomenal performance there by Clem in game number 1. Game number 2 apparently will take place on Oxide. Now, statistically speaking, Oxide LE is not a very good Zerg map, which makes me think, so in a in a best of 5 series, both players get to veto one map, right? So normally, I would say that Oxide is the one that gets vetoed, which makes me think that Reynor probably thinks one of the newer maps is probably worse for Zerg than this one. Either that or he hasn't gotten enough practice on it just yet. I know a lot of Zerg players aren't particularly fond of Blackburn, which is that map with the golden base and, like, you know, the one that's, like, mirrored a little bit differently, and, like, you have the shared 6 o'clock and the 12 o'clock bases, and rather than spawning opposite each other, you spawn, like, in the bottom left and the bottom right. Anyways, I know that that map is quite tricky for Zerg, but the fact that Oxide apparently made it into this best of 5 is... yeah, that is pretty rough. So I'm gonna make the assumption, by the way, that 2000 Atmospheres was the map pick for Reynor then. Because there's no way he's gonna pick Oxide in game number 2. Like, this is the kind of map that you, as a Zerg player, would probably rather not play on. The main reason for that, by the way, in case you're unfamiliar, is just that this map is quite easy to defend with, like, siege tanks, right? So you have a couple of good siege tank positions that just make it very strong for defensive play and very difficult to push into. There's a lot of choke points over here that just make it hard to run down. There's these rocks over here that keep you quite safe as well. So most of the time, I mean, even if you decide to get aggressive, right? So say the Zerg decided to take the 3rd base. A couple of siege tanks over here, siege tank over here, siege tank over here. We've seen it many times before where this area of the map doesn't have a whole lot of creep on it and Terran can just push and push and push through that choke point and eventually obtain the victory. Over the last couple of months, though, it seems that a lot of Zerg players, when they're forced to play this map, especially in this matchup, will go Roach Ravager. So, I don't know, maybe Reynor has got some sort of trick up his sleeve, but I highly doubt that he's just going to be playing a super standard, straightforward game here. But maybe he will. I don't know. We're going to find out in just a second. Where's the little bear? Samwise, go away. I want to see the little bear. I'm assuming the little bear will probably spawn right here on the command center. By the way, Samwise shows up whenever there's like a little bit of a bug in the game and it can't quite figure out exactly what's supposed to be displayed there. And apparently the default is Sam, who's... I don't even know if he still works at Blizzard, but I believe he's been a... Ooh, you know what? Yeah, nice. I believe he's been a placeholder in a lot of Blizzard games for a long time. Anyways, getting a drone right there is really, really quite nice for a Reaper. Eventually, the Queen obviously will come out, so... Double drone in the gas. That's interesting. It could just be for Overlord speed, but it makes me think that Reynor probably wants to... I don't know, maybe he wants to pull down like a Roach Warren or something, you know? Leaving the 2 drones in gas is a little bit strange. I feel like you don't go Overlord speed here, especially with these, 4 queens coming up. Maybe he wants to go quick lair, actually. I know 2-base Muta was always an option. Ooh, okay. Reaper slippery, does not quite get surrounded. Nice control there by Clem. He's already going for the 3rd command center, by the way. Which is kind of crazy, considering the fact that he has scouted that his opponent is opening up 2-base. Yeah, okay, so it is going to be a quick lair. This is looking really nice, though, for Clem, right? So eventually this Reaper dies, but... I mean, he should have. Yeah, he did see right there that there was a lot of... Ooh, okay. A lot of gas mined and that the lair started up. Reynor, though, decides to cancel the lair and now go third base instead. So with a quick lair like that, there's a couple of options. Either it's... You know, if your name is Bly, it's probably like a... I don't know, like a Nidus worm or something along those lines. But more often than not, it would be something focused around... the Mutalisk, right? So 2-base Muta was a popular build about a year and a half or so ago. These days we don't really see it anymore because the Terran players have gotten very, very good at playing against it. Okay. Now he... Huh? This is a little bit awkward though. So he cancelled the lair there, then goes for the third base. Then about a minute later or so, once again goes for the lair and then the Roach Warren. Okay, so I guess that this is just a little bit more of a comfortable timing. Maybe double Evo here as a follow-up or something along those lines. I wouldn't be surprised. Anyways, if you look right here on the side of the Terran, you can see that, well, Clem's opener is paying off, right? Having this start command center at this point is going to be super nice. Not only can you use it for scouting here if you want to with a scan in just a second, which is always nice if you want to confirm that it indeed was a quick Muta play. And I guess right now, actually, since the lair has been retaken in the natural expansion, if Terran scans the main, he knows that it's going to be a cancelled base. Or a cancelled lair. Anyways, obviously those mules, though, are going to be most important. He's just going to be floating on it over towards the third base. And I can imagine up to this point, yeah, it's been a nice little economical advantage here for Clem, which is usually not what we see at this stage of the Zerg versus Terran matchup. So, good work right there by him. It is indeed going to be double Evo, though, by Reynor. Probably will start up the Roach speed upgrade here shortly as well, so it lines up with the +1/+1. Maybe we're just going to be seeing like an all-out +1/+1 Roach speed timing attack. It's the build that I always recommend to new players that first install StarCraft 2 if they want to learn how to play Zerg a little bit better. +1/+1 Roach speed. It's still a classic, and for good reason. We see it all the time actually on this map, which is yeah, quite cool. Anyways, so Clem has once again got a couple of Marines inside of a Medivac. Or, well, about 16 Marines right here instead of 2 Medivacs. Should be able to yeah, just... Oh, Jimmy. Alright. Even Jimmy gets to go on board. Nice. This should be able to, yeah, keep the Zerg player occupied for quite some time. Zerglings to the other side of the map would have been nice, but obviously it's difficult right now for Reynor here to actually dedicate units to that. Knowing very well that those units inside of those Medivacs could easily go into the main base as well. So, he didn't start up Roach speed. I think that this is a misplay. Like, he's making loads of Roaches here, but no Roach speed. That makes no sense. Like, there's no good reason not to get Roach speed here. It's 100 minerals, 100 gas. I think he'll find out in just a second that he didn't start it yet when he goes for the push. Usually this is around the time where you check. You're like, okay, it's time to go. Is that Roach speed done? Oh, shit, I didn't start it. I wouldn't be surprised if he notices here in just a second. He's making a lot of Roaches, though. Well, it's going to be 27 here in just a sec. There's no good reason, right? Like, I'm trying... It's hard for me to fathom that Reynor's making a mistake here, but... Maybe he's still human? Could be. I don't know, though. At this point, I'm not entirely sure. He should realize it right now, right? Like, I'm looking... I'm staring at the production tab. Okay. Oh, my God. It's a little bit embarrassing, yeah. +2/+2 starts up right now. Maybe you can grab a siege tank over here, though, with the Zerglings. Okay. Ravagers, by the way, do not benefit from the speed buff. So, Glial Reconstitution is the upgrade that I was looking for right there, which is a speed buff for the Roach. It's really nice. Now, even though this seems like an inferior position right here for the Zerg player, it seems like he's still maneuvering really quite nicely. Okay. Corrosive Balls can still be helpful. There you go. Not bad. Queens apparently have now been pulled away as well. A lot of the Zerg army, though, is currently occupied over in the third base of the Terran player. So, yeah, the fight over at the front seems like it's being won right now with those transfuses as well. And despite the lack of Roach speed, everything is still going quite nicely. What a strange situation to be in. Okay. So this third command center can obviously lift up. I'm not sure if the 4th CC is going to be able to live, though. Okay, he's going to be able to grab a couple of the roaches. Nicely done right here by Clem. Speed for the roaches is going to finish up in a couple of seconds, so I guess that'll help out quite a bit. Especially when you're trying to push off creep against one of those Terran armies. A couple of units will end up getting picked off as well. Queens once more having enough energy right there for the transfuses, which I kind of like. You know what? Reynor seems to be pushing through this. What a strange game. It felt like this should have never worked, but for some reason it has. Okay. Luckily for Clem though, and this is really quite a saving grace for him, yeah. He keeps the 4th base alive, at least for now, right? Finishing that one and actually keeping it here is, if he can stabilize from here, quite helpful, because then obviously you can continue macroing quite well. Only just now is when the 4th hatchery is gonna, well, be about 80% of the way done here for the Zerg. I love the idea of Liberators here as well. Liberator Siege Tank, I mean, Ravagers are really good against that, obviously, but... Yeah, Clem has gotten very good at, like, sieging and unsieging those units at the right time, so I don't really see this dealing too much more damage. Although apparently Reynor disagrees. He's like, you know what, I'm gonna once again push forward. That siege tank on the high ground, though, shelling away very, very nicely. Liberators move on over in this direction as well, and I think it's about time to leave, or at the very least, regroup with maybe a couple of reinforcements here as well. Ooh, Clem apparently decided to turn that one into an orbital too, so now he's got 4 orbitals. Normally the 4th base gets turned into a planetary fortress, but I kind of like it here. If you're going up against roaches and ravagers, I guess, yeah, skipping the planetary may just be okay. Especially if you are in a bit of a dicey scenario. Maybe you're not in the economical position that you would like to be in. I think you can keep going, yeah. Maybe you're not in the economical position that you like to be in, so just continuing the eco is not a bad idea, right? Get yourself some additional money. That 4th command center was pretty much all dead, so getting additional eco from it is definitely not a bad idea. Ooh. Liberator is going to stay alive. This one's going to go back. I think Clem actually has like the best Liberator control in the game. Especially his early game Liberator harass is ridiculous. Now this doesn't really count anymore as early game, I suppose. But he is super annoying with these. Like bringing them to the other side of the map, dealing maximum damage, sieging, unsieging, sieging, unsieging, sieging, unsieging, then bringing it back home, repairing it back up, and then going back in for more. This is something that most Terran players don't do. Most of them will just give it up. But just stressing the multitasking here, right? So there are Ravagers available. Takes 3 corrosive balls to kill it. So I think that this one is... okay. It almost seemed like it wasn't gone, but apparently the last corrosive biles did connect. Alright, so it's going to be a Viper transition right now and then also a Lurker follow-up. I like it. Something a little bit more stable than sitting around a Roach Ravager for a long time. Clem, though, has got his SCV count back up to a pretty healthy amount as well. So he's currently sitting at 69 SCVs. That's quite nice. Very nice, very nice. It's like, I don't even really know exactly how to cast, like, Roach Ravager versus this kind of army. Because... the amount of times I've seen it gone poorly for Zerg is insane. So usually, Roach Ravager is really quite okay until Terran players finish up their 2-2 upgrades. So at this point, yeah, Clem has got 2-2 done. He's gonna go straight into the +3 attack as well, which is fantastic. And once +3 is done, I mean, the era for the Roach Ravager is over. They're quite okay in these early game scenarios, but you don't really want to stick around on them for too long, because as soon as Terran upgrades, you know, kick in, it's gonna be quite insane. The cost efficiency here of Marine Marauder Medivac is quite nice. Now, Blinding Clouds, though, are helping out quite a bit. Yeah, if it's just gonna be Marine Marauder, I guess it will be very doable. Okay, a couple of units coming in from the side as well. I think the Vipers are currently gone, trying to get some more energy again as well. Clem is gonna be forced back again from this position. Now it's a Hydra follow-up here as well from Reynor, okay. Look at this. Yeah, he's just trying to jump on this army, right? Getting on top of the Ravagers, there you go. That's what you're looking for. Ravagers are the expensive units here, the ones that the Zerg player really wants to keep alive. So I actually like what Clem is doing there, just jumping on top of it. Maybe he can even pick off this base too if he focuses it. Parasitic Bomb over here. Good splits though by Clem. Very good splits there. Oh my god. Did you see how fast he did that? Picked out the right two right away. No problem, guys. couple of the weakened medevacs are going home, which I like a lot as well. It seems so obvious, right, to like send the weakened medevacs home and take them off of your control group. And yet we don't see it nearly as often as we probably should. Anyways, lurkers are out right now. Getting those in the right spot is going to be very helpful. Upon seeing the lurkers... Oh, is he going to get the base? He will. Nice. Upon seeing the lurkers, we see the Ghost Academy coming up as well for Clem, which is a good idea. He's been expanding as well behind this, so the 5th Mlem is going to be available here too. Well, once again, Parasitic Bomb though. This time around, it does look like Clem is not paying attention right away. Yeah, he's going to end up losing at least, I think, 2 Medivacs. What a scrappy game so far. I like it. Yeah, it's so dangerous, man. Oh my god, it's so dangerous. What Clem is doing here is playing with fire and hoping his hand doesn't burn. It seems so far he hasn't been burned too badly, but I think it's time to back off, my man. Yeah, I think it's time to let go off the pressure a little bit and maybe start doing some more drop harass, right? Maybe try and start flying around with those medevacs a little bit more. Couple to the top left-hand corner. Maybe not a bad idea. In a head-on engagement against lurkers, especially when there's more and more of them coming, ranged upgrade is already done. I mean, you see the burrow upgrade finishing up right now as well. You need something, I think, a little bit more more punchy than just Marauders. Well, apparently, I mean, I know that Björn, for example, likes to stick around on Marine Marauder Medivac for quite some time, especially against lurkers. Okay. Yeah, I think in general, ghosts are probably a good transition. So there we go. A couple of them are coming up. I like it. The snipe ability is fantastic against lurkers. You can do a lot of damage with it. Reynor, by the way, did bring his eco up to 94 drones. Like I already showed you, the top left-hand corner has been acquired. He's got full upgrades right now as well on those lurkers. And the ghosts are not out just yet. Good Blinding Cloud here. Is there going to be enough for the Zerg player to actually just break through this? I'm looking at this, and this is a dangerous Zerg swarm. Okay. Gets one of the Vipers. That's good. If there's one thing that these lurkers are really good at as well, obviously, it's just zoning away. So I think that this base is pretty much dead. Yeah, he's getting a couple of the lurkers for pretty much free, though. Decides to stim down the ramp into where all of those lurkers are located. Siege Tank, though, gets abducted. And I think that Clem has spread out his units just barely well enough to clean all of this up. But, I mean, that was a costly trade. The units right now that we're fighting over at the left side base also decided to come back to this army. And Reynor, I mean, right now, almost doubling his opponent's supply. Okay. This is not looking so good right now for the Frenchman. It's gonna be more Hydro Lurker Viper with Zergling support. Only just now is when the +1 melee upgrade actually comes up, which is kind of cool. So full Roach Ravager first, and then into Lurkers, into Hydras. Now this may be an overextension though by Reynor, yeah. That Planetary Fortress looking really strong there. The SCV's keeping it alive. It's now picked up 16 kills. A couple of those were Zerglings, but... yeah, this is where things get dicey though, right? These Lurkers, yep, just outrange it. So you're gonna have to keep repairing it, and repairing is not free. Contrary to popular Zerg belief. You do have to constantly pay money here to keep that command center alive. Clem doesn't have that much income anymore as it is. Okay, a couple of lurkers here will end up going down. That's good. I think that this one will probably get sniped too. Nice. So Reynor once more gets pushed back. Oh, the ghost. Okay. Snipes though will also confirm and connect with those lurkers. Alright. Man, the micro wars. It's like a little dance as well between the ghosts and the lurker. Or sorry, the ghosts and the vipers. It's really nice. Anyways. The base now at the 9 o'clock position though. I don't think Clem is going to be looking for that anytime soon. It's been acquired by the Zerg. This base over here is not even really that important. Now you can still see though that there's some good siege tank positions. Clem is posturing here as if his army is massive, but he doesn't really have that much. And yeah, here comes the swarm once again. Siege tanks get surrounded right away. Lurkers right now once again on burrow as well and try to get in a bit of a better position too. The problem is, right, Clem is starting to run out of money. Main and natural obviously completely mined out, and while he does still have some mining over here on this base, if this expansion is killed, I do not see any longevity at all for the Terran. Once again, yeah, this is an overextension though. Man, Clem, where are you getting those units from? It's actually insane. I feel like Reynor's asking himself the same thing. He's like, I'm mining 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 bases. You're mining like 2. How are you buying all of this? Can we have a quick little look right now at the resources lost? Yeah, okay. So the gas count here has been sniped quite well for the Zerg player, but minerals-wise, it's not like Clem is trading poorly. Anyways, the main command center is going to be floating on over towards that third base. Man, how is Clem still fighting this? It's actually so insane. I don't think he's going to win this game, but the fact that he's still like making it look like this is a match is insane. Yeah, so once again, Zerg decides to uproot all of the lurkers. And this time around, I think that might just be enough for Reynor to move in for the kill on that planetary. And once this planetary is gone, right, all of the attention can be focused on the base on the left. Maybe if you move the lurkers slightly closer, then you can kill all of the SCVs as well. Ghost a little bit misrallied. He doesn't have... Ooh, I don't think he had enough energy right there for a scan. The base once more stays alive. Actually not. Man, Clem is looking dangerous here. I just want to reiterate that this is a Zerg player who's been mining, you know, full efficiency with all 82 of his workers. If Clem can get back into this game, that would be insane. That's a lot of free units that get killed. He's ready to float the command center on over, but he now finds that there is already a hatchery in that location. Not really what you're looking for. Yeah, Clem once again mining some of those minerals, though. Sniping right there on the queen, okay. Couple of lurkers running around. I kind of like it. Yeah, if you get the lurkers behind the back of the mineral line, they can actually still hit the, you know, the bases. Anyways, at the same time, we also have the Zerg swarm moving forward towards this low ground expo. Hatchery at the 9 o'clock, though, does get killed. Oh my god, here come the snipes again. Couple nice abductions there. Do get a couple of those ghosts closer to where the army is at. But yeah, it's just barely not gonna be enough right here for Clem. Even though he fell behind quite some time ago, though, he's still stuck in this game for a long time, and he actually made it look surprisingly close. Alrighty, so the next game is gonna take place on a Lightshade. Very small map, very quick rush distance, so curious to see what ends up going down here in this on this particular map. I actually took a moment and made myself a cup of coffee, because you can see that both of these guys are very evenly matched, and I've got a feeling that this series may go on for just a little while longer, right? If we're gonna be seeing 20-something minute long games for the rest of this series, I mean, I'm gonna be here for a bit. It actually always amazes me that even when I do really long casts, right? Every once in a while I cast like a best-of-7 and it's like an hour-and-a-half long video. The watch time on the videos is still like 70% or something, meaning that like 70% of you watch from the beginning all the way until the very end. Pretty neat, guys. I appreciate you. Thank you. I noticed, by the way, I know this is completely irrelevant to this game, but I think my neighbor's got a new car. I've got no one to share this with because I'm home alone, okay? But I don't know, all of a sudden there's a different car in their parking lot and it's charging. I don't know, man. It's got a cable coming out of the back. How does this work? I don't have a fancy car like that. I don't even drive anywhere. I'm pretty sure over the last 3 years, I probably drove like 5,000 kilometers. For those of you in America, that is like 5,000 washing machines. Something like that. depending on the size of your washing machine. That's a unit of measurement, right? I'm pretty sure that's a minute. Yeah. It's a measurement of distance. Anyways, let's see what ends up going down right here on Lightshade. So, nothing out of the ordinary. I mean, at the highest level of StarCraft, right, I'm secretly hoping that maybe on some of the new maps, we'll see some variety again in some of the strategies. But at the highest level, it's been really quite well figured out what the most optimal way of playing the game is. Right? So, I mean, a lot of people are saying, oh my god, Terran, they just do Marine or Automatic Vec and then either mines or siege tanks every single game. And while that's theoretically true, it's just simply the best way to play, assuming you're really good at the game, right? So, Like, I see sometimes I see people, like, criticizing, for example, Clem. By the way, let me fix the scoreboard. There we go. It was flipped upside down. I see people criticizing, for example, Clem over playing, like, what they would consider a quote-unquote boring style of StarCraft. Look, you can't blame someone on trying to win the video games, right? He doesn't care about, like, you know, bringing exciting games to us necessarily. I mean, maybe he cares about that too, but that's very secondary to his primary objective, and that is to win the video game. He doesn't care about, you know, entertaining us in the very first place. It's the beauty of competition, though, right? So. Can I see the little bear? Aw, there it is. Mlem. Mlem. Clem. Mlem. I wonder who else is gonna be in Clem. Mlem. I'm not sure. Hatchery, though, acquired right now by the Zerg player on the low ground. So, this is the way that Reynor has been playing this map for quite some time. For a while, we saw pretty much all the Zerg players expanding vertically. So they would grab this base, and then the low ground one over... Or the high ground... Yeah, well, I guess it's technically a low ground. The low ground one over here as well. The problem is, though, that once the Terran player takes their third base over here, which is the most likely location, just because they expand towards the Zerg, and that's what they like to do. If you have your fourth base over here, and they have their fourth base over there, you're basically next door neighbors, right? And if you have a planetary in this location, it's going to be very easy to create a staging ground for the Terran units to move in that direction. Plus, it turns out if you have, like, the low ground base taken, you can take this base as your fourth as the Zerg, which is fantastic because it's a little bit nicer and a little bit more tucked away. So I agree with this decision 100%. It's just a little bit difficult sometimes to stop those big timing attacks, especially with, like, you know, units right here on the high ground. If you don't get creep over here and you have the fourth base taken, it can be quite difficult to defend these bases, and Terran obviously can really push in there and get a lot of work done. It's going to be an armory this time around from Clem, so... Zerglings, we'll try and scout this out. Oh, okay. They might just be able to get an SCV. Okay, not bad. Link does not quite get in. Even just softening up those Hellions a little bit, though, is really nice. Ooh, okay. Love this. A little bit of body blocking going on right here by Jimmy and Martin. Oh my god, he just grabs two queens like that. Not quite. But he grabs a queen like that. Yeah, all of the Zerglings are going to be produced right now. Pretty late, right? It's not going to be enough just yet. How many queens are there at this point? 6 of them? Okay. Medivac, though, gets sniped. Okay, now that's a big one. Sniping the Medivac there is really, really critical. Medivac's can heal up those Hellbats. And the Reaper as well, I guess, but it's kind of secondary. Alright, this will all be cleaned up relatively easily now that the Medivac is gone. During all of that, by the way, we did see those couple of Zerglings there kill 3 SCVs. So even though this looked really dicey here for Reynor for just a little bit, I think he wiggled his way out of there quite nicely. Lair starts up, double upgrade start up. We'll probably see the Bailing Nest coming up as well. Already preparation right here for any Liberator shenanigans or any Banshee shenanigans. In this case, it's going to be a Banshee floating across the map, and, well, it's got to be able to get into the natural, I guess, but I don't really expect this to do a whole lot of damage. Okay, so action-packed early game here, but in the end, it doesn't even matter. Third command center also started up right here at the front. I think the real advantage that Zerg has created right now for himself, other than the fact that he's got that eco, right, is the fact that he's going to be able to grab those upgrades quite a bit easier. So the engineering base right now are quite a bit later than the +1/+1 from the Zerg. Now I know some of you are looking at this and you're like, okay, that's like 30 seconds, Lowko. Assuming Terran starts up the upgrades right away. It adds up very quickly, and there's like a big timing window during which you have the upgrades done and your opponent hasn't yet. It also means that Reynor at this point can do whatever he likes, which probably will mean that he's gonna, you know, just do Reynor things. Can he push in? Can he push in? Okay. Ooh, Evo Chamber to complete the wall up. Queen's right now on the high ground as well. Ah, that was quick. That Evo Chamber over there is actually pretty sick. I know that, Banshee get any kills? No, just 1 kill in total. I know that Serral started doing that at some point. So basically, if you make one of those Evo Chambers really quickly, you can block the Hellions from driving into your mineral line, which is kind of cool. Anyways, even though, yeah, I think we can still consider this Reynor doing Reynor things. He doesn't seem to be playing Spire that often recently. Still very good, obviously, at it. Anyways, that was about a moment from disaster right there. Quick thinking right there, getting the Evo chamber in. Otherwise, Clem would have definitely been happy to roast all of those drones in the mineral line. Okay. So Clem has secured the third base. As expected, it's going to be on the low ground. This is apparently also the moment where he decides to add on some additional comments, or sorry, some additional production here. Wouldn't be surprised to see another barracks or two coming up in just a sec. Yeah, once again, just a macro game. By the way, the prize pool for the ESL Open Cups, I believe it's $200 for the first place prize, and then $100 for the second place prize. So there was some money on the line for this particular event. So that's why, you know, I mean, they still want to win, right? It's still better than not making any money, right? Ooh, siege tank on the high ground though. Yeah, nice targeting right there by Clem. I like it. Clem purposefully targeting there the banelings. This tank right now has got 10 kills. Not bad. Is he going to continue? Maybe, yeah, maybe you can get a little bit of work done, but I don't think you're going to be able to get too much, right? So, by the way, the fourth base has been acquired on the right, which is kind of an interesting scenario. Double spore over there. Reynor decides to send in the units right now from multiple angles. Siege tank right there. Tried to target fire down the banelings. Ah, gets it. Okay. Yeah, look at that. He's constantly hunting for the banelings, right? With the siege tanks. I know there's a couple of Terran players watching this. They're like, wait, what? You can target with sieged up tanks? Yep. It is the standard these days to be target firing with the siege tanks as well. Like that micro that Terran needs to do in the mid game is nuts. Super difficult to pull off, but for some reason these guys are capable of doing it. Alright, fourth command center. Yeah, you can see that Clem is trying to get out into the map, just like he did in game number 1. But he's just not able to get nearly as far because of that creep spread, and because right now, even though, like, this is by no means game over here for Clem, it's a very different scenario than game number 1, even though, like, units-wise, it's relatively similar, right? I hope I do a decent enough job describing the differences here, because it's... yeah, it's kind of cool. Even though, there's not massive changes. It's just that right now it's Zerk in the driver's seat rather than the Terran player. No missile turret set up over here either, so this is gonna go from bad to worse. Missile turret starts up here inside of the main base. We see even the starport now being contaminated as well, which is a spell by the Overseer right here. I think the Overseer was primarily here as a detector, but army at the front also has been pushed and held back for now. Reynor, though, is going to be able to max out here very shortly. Okay, nice. Nice. Nicely done right there by Clem. Very important, actually, grabbing a couple of those mutas as they're flapping around. He's going to add on new ones. Okay. The creep spread also has been pushed back quite nicely. If Reynor decides to run down this low ground, that could still be dangerous. Yeah. He's thinking about it, right? But there's a lot of siege tanks over there, and you can see that Clem already he's inviting him down towards that low ground. I like this a lot better. Okay. These are the moves that made Reynor famous. Going in for the run buys all of the time. Rather than fighting the Terran army. No. If they want to fight, they can come onto the creep. We'll go in for a counter-attack instead, which I, yeah, definitely agree with. It strategically makes a lot of sense. Good splits, though, by Clem. Yeah, looks like he's going to be able to clean all of this up with the reinforcements. Terran army at the front, in the meantime, is going to be moving forward as well. Zerklings try to run around, maybe see if they can grab a siege tank or two, but it's not going to happen. Banshees actually return right now for a little bit more as well. I don't mind it. My god, Clem is insanely good, man. I feel like every single Terran player out there would have already crumbled under the pressure. Well, this is going to be the moment where Reynor still decides to commit. I think that there is going to be enough right now. Yeah, there should be enough anyway. Well, there's a lot of reinforcements coming up. The mutas, in the meantime, were cleaning up a lot of the medivacs. Okay. Clem actually pushes forward right now. Most of the banelings are taken care of. New ones will finish up, though, shortly. But Clem, dude, this guy is insane. He's now actually leading as far as the army supply goes. If he can actually... Really? Can he push this back? He started 3-3 here, significantly before his opponent. So... Oh my god, Clem. Fourth base has been acquired during all of this as well. That one's going to be a planetary, so no pesky Zergling run-bys are going to be able to stop that. Wow, okay. Yeah, so this creep spread over here, right, turned out to be a bit of a disaster. Liberators get killed though. Mutas once again get in, but this now feels like a bit of a desperation strategy here. Fifth base will also go down. I'm starting to be a little bit concerned for the upgrades right here. Once the Marines and Marauders finish up their 3-3, I think that Clem can just push for the win. Reynor has decided to prioritize the Ultralisk Cavern. I don't know if I like that too much, to be honest. There is a lot of creep on this side, but yeah, now Clem once again goes to the high ground. I love that he dropped off one siege tank on the high ground and then one on the low ground. It's gonna be quite difficult to actually clean all of this up. Missile turret over here though, will it get picked off? I think it is gonna stay alive. And that is so critical. Zerg at the same time is still busy defending at home. Oh my god, Clem. Really, mate? Okay, well, eventually the medevac, the missile turret goes down. Looks like there were some bailing connections here as well underneath the medevacs. So, while the mutas are on the left side of the map, Clem is moving forward here. And I can't help but notice that all of a sudden he dropped a lot of supply. I do not know exactly what ended up going down here, but I think a couple stray bailings. Oh. That sucks, man. Clem was making all the right moves, and then Reynor's like, wait, really? You're not paying attention here? Okay, I guess I'll roll in a couple of Banes. At least that's what the bailings seem to be thinking at that point. Ultralisks are coming up. Chitinous plating is coming up as well. Still no +3/+3 in the Evos, but I guess he can't really afford it. Mutas flipping and flapping all over the place. 23 SCVs have been killed right now. Zerglings, though, have decided that this is apparently the time to move forward. A couple of the units coming in from the left as well. That tank on the high ground still getting so much work done. But now with this many SCVs being killed, though, it's very quickly becoming an all-in right here. Is there enough for the Terran player to actually close this out? He keeps that siege tank alive for at least a little while longer. I think that despite the beginning of a comeback... No GG? Clem is going to be forced out of the game. Alrighty, so that brings us to Blackburn. It's going to be match point right here for Reynor. Considering we had Oxide... And considering we do have Blackburn, I guess then that Reynor ends up vetoing Beckett Industries, which is one of the new maps. I actually watched a little highlight clip of, I think this was from Cyril's live stream, where Cyril is playing one of his very first games of Zerg versus Terran on Beckett Industries. Beckett is the map with the speed-up circles, by the way. Like, not Giganatha, but anyways, I'll probably cast a game on it in the near future. Basically, what it comes down to is that even Cyril was surprised by the time at which the Reaper could arrive on the other side of the map at, and he basically said, oh my god, this is going to be painful against Clem. So, yeah. It seems like the Reapers can arrive like a couple seconds sooner than they would in other maps. And, well, you can see sometimes, right, especially in these, like, early game battles between the Reapers and the Zerglings, and we're waiting until the Queens come out. You can see how dicey it gets. A lot of the Zerglings usually get into the red health, a couple of drones in red health as well, and then the Queen spawns, and everyone is safe. Now imagine you could fight there for like another 3 seconds. Doesn't sound like a big deal, but it could easily mean the difference between losing 4 Zerglings and losing no Zerglings, right? Anyway, maybe that's the reason why Beckett Industries is likely going to be the veto right here from Reynor. I don't know. I'm just speculating here, but probably. Alrighty. Someone made a good point, by the way, at some point in the comment section. I didn't really consider this. So, the maps that we are playing on right now, the new ones, like, for example, Blackburn, they were made in early 2020, which is back when Zerg was dominating StarCraft 2. However, since then, there were a couple of nerfs to the Zerg in general. And we've already had a couple of maps that weren't that hot for Zerg in the first place. So, I wonder if this is going to make it more difficult for Zerg moving forward over the course of the next competitive season. I don't know. I'm just thinking out loud, but someone did make the point like, hey, this is, you know, a series of maps that was made during a period where Zerg was considered a little bit too good. These maps all seem to be quite good for Terran and Protoss. I wonder if it's going to be you know, maybe a bit much. I don't know. Only time will tell. Impossible to say right now. I do like this map, though, especially for Terran quite a bit. This is going to be my first time casting a TVZ on this map, so I'm excited to find out exactly what ends up going down here. I really like this slow circle over here at the back of the main. Yeah, it's cool. Because, like, the Terran can get out pretty easily, but you could easily still get an extra spine in with the Queen, right? Did he snipe a creep tumor? Oh no, it's double inject. Double inject into 4 queens. Okay. Right away, though, upon seeing this, Clem has once more... So this is apparently his response to seeing a 2-base Zerg opener. He has once more taken the 3rd command center pretty much right away. Interesting, right? So it's okay, 3rd command center with double barracks is a follow-up. This apparently is his follow-up against scouting that the opponent went 2-base. This could obviously still be a 3rd base, just delayed, yeah. But immediately, right from the get-go, I like this position for the Terran quite a bit, though. Just because the mules obviously get a lot of value as the game goes on. And, I mean, as soon as you get your 3rd or your 4th mule out, that command center has already paid for itself twice. So it's, yeah, it's nice. Like, getting this earlier is just gonna make it stronger. Just because it's energy-based, and the more energy you accumulate over the course of the game, the better, right? Anyways, yeah, it is gonna just be a lair. Bailing nest here as well. I think this is Reynor opening up safely. Which I think I would probably praise this opener by Reynor against pretty much anyone else who's not a top-level Terran player, you know? Because, like, that line of thinking would be, okay, Reynor, as long as you don't die to anything stupid, you'll probably win in the long game. But, yeah, if you're safe against everything, usually you lose the macro game, assuming everyone is playing perfect, right? So, I kind of like this start here from Reynor, but I don't think it's gonna be that great against someone of the caliber of Clem. So Clem, by the way, is going for what seems to be like a delayed 2-1-1. So normally the 2-1-1 hits around the 5-minute mark, 5 minutes and 5 seconds, 5 minutes and 10 seconds, depending on the execution. However, obviously, with this particular opener, we have that 3rd command center added into the mix, right? So it is basically leading towards a very similar scenario, but just with more stuff, right? With more eco, which I kind of like. It's too early to tell, by the way, exactly what the map balance is currently at. But at least the initial statistics seem to show that it's quite good for Terran. This song is awesome, by the way. This map is really cool, too. Oh, my God, actually. Oh, ho, ho. Whoa, hold up. Can I... What? 2-1-1. Nice time. Wait, I think someone was probably lagging. Someone know him? No. German caster. Okay, my bad. Are we just gonna let the guy drop? I'm not dropping. Are we just dropping? She's nice, and I'm sure she said about that too. Shitty timing, but let's keep it reasonable. Looked like it. Not anymore. All right. All right. A little bit of drama, apparently. I think one of the observers apparently started lagging as the Zerglings ran into the natural expansion right here of the Terran. That is a shitty timing. Luckily, we had Daddy Rotterdam right there, teaching everyone some manners. That's good. Well, you know what? That seemed like a shitty moment, but like that's the thing with Zergling run-bys in 2021. It seemed really good there for Zerg, and Terran was completely off guard, but then all the Zerglings died, and in the end, I mean, 5 SCVs were killed. 25 Zerglings died this game in total. That seemed pretty good for the Terran, all things considered. There's a lot of Banelings coming up. I love this depot here from Clem. Okay, that's gonna give him like a good 5 seconds of additional response time. Queens apparently are starting to take a lot of damage right here, yeah. So with all of the... Oh my God, this is getting really awkward right now. With all of this going down here, can he actually break into the natural? It's gonna cost him about 5 Banelings to go through all of this. Nice and all, but I think that Terran is probably gonna be able to push at the same time on the other side of the map, and as the age-old adage goes... You don't base raise a Terran player because they can lift their structures. Clem breaks Okay. Well, he breaks his own supply depot there, if I'm not mistaken. He's dealing so much damage on the other side of the map, though. Beautiful splits right here as well in preparation of all of those speedy banelings. Maybe reinforcing Zerkman can clean all of this up, but I'm looking at this and I think that this is a phenomenal position for the Terran player, right? Because, like, even despite the fact that Terran can lift their structures here, he's still accumulating energy in those triple orbitals, right? So yeah, you can kill and trade workers, but that is always going to be an advantage for Terran because they're just getting more energy on the orbitals, and yeah. Therefore, obviously, they're going to be able to grab a lot more eco going forward. So Clem obtains apparently the victory right here on a Blackburn. Alrighty, so apparently that brings us to the final map in today's Best of 5 series, and it'll be a Romanticide. So we didn't get Beckett Industries. We had Oxide, we had... Oh, Giganatha. Alright. So Clem must have then vetoed Giganatha? Really? I know a lot of Terrans don't really like Giganatha very much. Maybe this is some Zerg bias coming into the mix, but it doesn't seem to be too bad for Terran, right? Yeah, probably some Zerg bias coming into the mix. I know a lot of Terran players aren't really big fans of it, but yeah, it makes sense. I mean, if you're vetoing Giganatha, though, that must mean that, you know, the maps are pretty good, right? Like, that must mean you're pretty happy with the maps overall. I gotta be careful here. This is gonna spark some balanced debates in the comments if I'm not careful. Now, it seems like Zerg versus Terran is very, very close right now, right? I mean, in general, the goal of balance is that you want the better player to be able to win, right? Like, that's the general goal. And I think so far in this series, it's been extremely back and forth, very, very close. Nothing, nothing too crazy. Nothing out of the ordinary. Let's see what ends up going down right here on Romanticide. Once again, standard openers right here from the both of them, it seems. Probably going to be a command center on the low ground. I'm all out of coffee. A sad day. Did you know that there's people out there that don't drink coffee? AKA crazy people? Nah, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding, okay? I know there's always a debate on whether or not coffee is better or tea. What about both? I wanna just bring up, what about, like, coffee in the morning and then, like, tea in the afternoon? I think that's the... Yeah, I think that's the combo. I don't drink that much coffee, by the way. I feel like I talk about coffee a lot on the stream. I drink usually about 2 cups of coffee a day. Is that a lot? Nah, that's not that much, right? I'll probably drink like 2 cups of coffee a day and then like 1 cup of tea. That's probably pretty tame. I know there's a lot of you that like work in offices or maybe home offices right now, but that basically just drink coffee all day, every day. Yeah, if I drink too much coffee, I start jumping around. I get the jitters. Which may actually be good for a StarCraft cast, but probably not ideal. I do have it though right now. Okay, this is a little bit embarrassing. I noticed that whenever I don't drink coffee, I do get a headache. Is this bad? Probably a little bit bad. Wait, once again, by the way, look at this. So we see the lack of creep tumor. We see Reynor going 4 queens. Right away upon seeing that, Clem is like, okay, no third base. I'm going to start up my own. And so far, that seems to go really well for the Frenchman. So I don't really know exactly if I like this opener from Reynor too much. I mean, you must think that it's okay because he's been doing it consistently right now, but... Hello. Brenda! Okay. So it's queen, queen, inject, inject. 2 more queens. And then after that, these queens protect each other with creep tumors. Fair enough. And then insta-lair right here at 3.5 minutes. Leaving 2 drones in gas. Interesting. Terra not really doing anything out of the ordinary. Once again, the exact same build as he did in the previous game. Okay. So I like this follow-up. It seems really good. So the nice thing about going for this Stimpak upgrade this early on, right? And not going 1-1-1 after the 3rd CC, is that you can defend a lot of roach-based pushes. So say, for example, this would be like a, I don't know, like a Roach Nidus play or something along those lines. The Nidus would probably come in as the Stimpak finishes up, which is really, really nice for Clem. So you can see right here, if this would be an instant Nidus right now, Stimpack would be, yeah, just about finishing up as the Nidus would pop up. And it's just a good situation for the Terran player to be in. So this is like, if you're going to be playing 3rd CC, I think going for this follow-up is probably the safest overall. Even though it's not going to allow you to put a whole lot of pressure on. Now, this is kind of interesting. Okay, Clem decides to start producing a couple of Hellions here instead. I thought he would switch over and then go straight into Medivac production, but not quite. Spire, okay. From Reynor. Then he takes the 3rd base here on the low ground. Where are you going? Huh? What are we doing? Are we gonna poop some creep and then put tumors over there? I hope so. That is one of the most underused skills in the game. Yes! Okay, I love this. This is... Oh, don't ruin it for me, man. I love this. No, don't... Bro, I asked nicely. Alright. I think he hurt me. Yeah, this is cool, right? Like, we never really see this. And this is actually an important location because right now Clem is going to start using this as a point of contention, right? He wants to start pushing from this location. Bailing speed is not done yet, though. Yeah, and those Hellions, even though they were produced very, very late, this is a scary timing attack right now by Clem. Stimpack is done. Combat shield, not done actually yet. I was gonna say that would be a little bit crazy. Oh, good targeting there on the mains. Careful though. Run for your lives. Run for the ram. Run for your life. Okay, I won't do that to you. Good defense there, all things considered, though, by Reynor. Grabs the Muta transition right now as well. No 1-1 upgrades, though, for the Zerg yet. And also no Baneling speed. There it is. I feel like I like Muta openers quite a lot, but it seems like Clem is really good against Mutas. So, I've got a love-hate relationship with Mutas in general. Like, Mutas are really good if you're really good at the game. If you're, like, bad at the game, like myself, aka you play, like, low Grandmaster League, and you kind of suck, you know? Like, that's when Mutas just aren't good. I feel like, okay, all jokes aside, as someone who's been playing StarCraft 2 for, like, a decade, like, more than a decade, actually, I genuinely believe that if you are below, like, 6,000 MMR, you probably want to forego Mutas entirely. And that really... Like, that is unironic. I think that makes... Well, in Zerg vs. Terran specifically, right? So, that makes up for about 99.999% of the player base in StarCraft 2. It's quite okay in Zerg vs. Zerg. Like, in ZVZ, it's much easier. In Zerg vs. Protoss, you don't really see Mutas that often. But in Zerg vs. Terran, to effectively play Mutas, it's, yeah, it's really hard. It's really hard to do well. Like, you really do need... I would say a minimum of 400 actions per minute. I mean, you know, effective actions per minute. So far, you can see it's not really paying off yet, right? Much easier to just play like Hydra Ling Bane or Lurker Hydra or just Ling Bane into Ultras. Much easier styles than the Muta one. Because so far, you can see Clem is deflecting this wonderfully. Like, this guy is not even caring about the Mutas. He killed a couple here and there. He's going to be able to finish up Combat Shield, a 1-1 here very shortly. Even the Concussive Shells upgrade is going to come up. Clem once again ready to go for a push. Let's go, Clem. Can he get some good detonations here on the Widow Mines? Ooh, that was close. That could have almost been everything. We do have the Mutas right here in the back, trying to see if they can force some of this army back home. Okay. There's quite a few Mutas right now, though. Yeah, they can easily start fighting some of those reinforcements as well. Clem is waiting for some of the creep to disappear before engaging forward once again. Oh, Widow Mine! Widow Mine! Widow Mine! Okay. Reinforcing Marines, though. Coming, or I guess they're reinforcements from the middle of the map. They're reinforcing the main base. They've decided to try and come over there to push back these Mutalisks. At the same time, with those Marines now gone, apparently this is the moment where Reynor has decided to try and break out of his own bases. I don't think I like that too much. Yeah, I really don't. Reynor did secure the 4th base during all of this, and he does have workers there as well, which is nice. Once again, look at what what Clem is doing here. He's pushing back this army, and then he clears out a little bit of creep. He's dancing on the edge. I love it. Yep. Oh, look at this. Slowly moving forward. He's not even waiting for the creep to disappear at this point. He's creating a chokehold on this base, right? If you cut off the Zerg's reinforcements from the natural, then all of a sudden this base is wide open. I would love to see a scan over here on the low ground as well to get rid of some of those creep tumors, but I guess if you can just kill the third, that also works out really nicely. Muta's picking off a couple of units though on the left, or sorry, on the right. Hello. Did you just really not finish off the base? Can you stop playing with my feelings, please? Can you finish off the base, bro? What? Oh my god. Are you for real right now? What? He was obviously intending on finishing that off in a second. Don't get me wrong, this is still not a good situation for our Zerg. Terran, in the meantime, has secured the fourth, but... really? Gotta be really careful right now. I know this scenario very well as a Terran player. Where you're like, okay, that base is almost dead. Let me just, like, right-click on it with everything. And then you, like, lose your armies over and over and over again. Okay, good splits right there. Yeah, you can see that's what Clem was doing over there, right? Just basically gave away, like, good 10 supply worth of units to try and finish off the hatchery that he didn't finish off earlier. Gotta be careful you don't overextend. Now, that was good. Yeah, that was really wonderful right there for Clement. Get him, Clement. Move forward. More banelings, though, available once again. Oh, those Widow Mines are starting to hurt quite a bit. I don't see any banelings anymore anywhere. Yeah, now the Mutas are going to be forced into the battle, too. They're trying to force some friendly fire right there by the Widow Mines. But apparently it is not quite gonna be enough. Liquid Clem is gonna be the one who obtains the victory in the ESL Open Cup number 66 Europe. I hope you enjoyed watching today's video. If you did, you know what to do. If you made it all the way until the very end, please take the 1 second that it takes to hit that like button down below. But for now, I want to thank you for watching. Have an awesome day. Don't forget to smile. And I'll see you once again in the next one.